time. 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3. What's up, gentlemen? How you doing?
What's up, Wiser?
What's going on, Wiser?
Howdy.
So, here we are, episode 3, 2Bs, OneHive. Always a pleasure. I got my man Jake Redenbaugh at the Great Patino up there in the top left. Mr. John Partial. I don't know what your Twitter is, sorry, JP. But how's it going, buddy?
Doing wonderful.
And Mr. Rob, is it Dvorak?
Yep, you bet.
You pronounce the V? That's good. AKA Dr. D up in the top right. So,
what's going on, guys?
Pleasure to be back. We got an exciting show. We got a lot to talk about today. We got the upcoming CWL season. We have a whole bunch of off-season news to sort of talk about and go over, sort of recap some things sort of we talked about from last week. So, and then of course we have the one and only Jake from OneHive Raids, good old Jake from OneHive coming on for the second half of the show. So stay tuned for that, guys. We're just going to kind of take care of some official business here. Just wanted to go over, obviously, guys, go ahead and check out OneHiveClan.com. We're going to be getting that going again. I do have a mini announcement to make. I've actually purchased the rights finally to the YouTube and our website and our Twitter account. So
About damn time.
Yeah. So about 300 videos later, and I'm finally gonna have ownership on that stuff. So that is awesome news. Nemo finally, I discussed with him. I've been talking with him for a long time, and so that's exciting news for me, and it should be for you guys too, because I'm gonna be able to utilize the website a lot more. I'm planning on writing a sort of weekly blog just about the clan. I don't know, just some cool things. I got some cool ideas for the website, so that is really neat. Obviously, you can subscribe to us at OneHive Labs, as you see in the DC. But that is awesome. That was exciting news for myself, so I did want to mention that. But one thing I did want to start off every episode with is a little bit of a discussion about where Invicta's at, because I never want to let Invicta be forgotten, because Invicta's got a season coming up in CWL Rising. And they're going to have some pretty good opponents in that league. I was asking Dr. D a little bit earlier to maybe give us some perspective on what Invicta's looking like going into the season here.
Yeah, so it's I think it's going to be a really fun season. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly why, but I guess I can guess why. But Rising has not come out with a schedule yet for who is going to be facing who. There are some great clans in there. Knights Templars in there. North Awakens. So it's going to be tough. We don't know exactly where we're going to fall just yet. But hopefully soon. I was really hoping that we'd get that today. I mean, we're 11 days out from the start. Regardless, at this point, we've got a lot of new people in Invicta, and I think that Invicta's in one of the best spots that it's been in quite some time.
Really?
So, yeah, they've had. They're in a war right now with Code Enigma, I think, and. Seems to be going pretty well. We'll see how that pans out. But yeah, I think there was a lot of shuffling that went around at the end of the last CWL, and fortunately, having a family that's got lots of clans in the CWL opened up a lot of recruiting opportunities for us. So I think it's going to be good, and we've still got kind of that core group in Invicta. Even though we've had several people promoted up, we've got some of those core nines that never really left. So.
In the Discord chat, JJDR from Schlitz's is saying that they still have 4 spots to fill. So
in Rising.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so it sounds like from what I was gathering today that there might be some changes in invite. I wouldn't know about that, but then what's going to happen is somebody from Premier will move up, somebody from Rising will move up, people from Light will move into Rising, and then they'll get some more people on Light. So we'll see how it kind of plays out. But there's a lot of work to be done if we're really going to if they're going to kick this off in 11 days. So. I'm sure they're on top of it though.
Yeah, you don't see. Yeah, the other thing is there's the same thing with the invite. Like they run into problems, and this is where I know the CWL has stated before they like sort of a small, tight knit group of admins, but in the same token, there's a lot of ground to cover. And I think this is a good example. Like it hopefully down the road, and I know CWL is new, so it's going to be a growing, evolving, improving thing, hopefully. But there's no reason you guys shouldn't know who your first opponent is, like almost a week before you match them. So that's kind of that's not very good. But I liked what you said though. I mean, I've been disconnected from Invicta for a little while now. You know, I've really been trying to focus on my 10, and so hearing that is really good. You know, I haven't done a recap Invicta in a very long time. Never mind Ward. So that's about it. You would say for Invicta?
Yeah, I think right now, I probably when we have the next podcast, there'll be some more information to put out about Invicta. I wish I had more right now, though.
Well, week 1 will be in the books, I think, when we do the next episode, right? So that's
you're
definitely
right.
gonna add a lot.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to mention and get all of your guys' perspective on is sort of where we're sitting at with Genesis right now. As pretty much everyone knows, we did absorb Genesis into the family as a sister clan. You know, a lot of cool guys, but obviously there's bound to be sort of clashes of whatever, right? Methods or ideologies, or just how people's attitudes. I don't know. How do you guys think that's going so far?
I like it. Like you said,
Don't everybody
there's
jump
some
at once.
You got some. When all these people are coming into the family at once, you know, they've done things a certain way, we've done things a certain way, but everyone pretty much hit it off right away, which is really nice. You know, I've built relationships with people in only 2 weeks. You know, just joking around and chat with them, and good banter back and forth. So, yeah, I've got nothing but good things to say about the Genesis crew.
Yeah, this is actually my first couple weeks as a Town Hall 10. One of our members, Bella, actually gave me her account to play with kind of indefinitely. And I had no idea what the hell I was doing for the first couple attacks. I had it for like 24 hours, and then the next day we were up against War Whales. And
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And I got in chat, and a couple of the guys over from Genesis were like, "Hey, like, invite me on over. I'll help you plan." And it was really cool. It was really cool getting to do that with those guys.
Yeah, they certainly bring a lot of experience, which is fantastic. I don't know that I probably haven't had a whole lot of contact with them except in Lounge. So.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I mean, I'm talking to them almost every day in the leadership chat. You know what? Buck, double lot buck, whatever, double 8 buck. He's a really good guy though. You know, he doesn't bullshit. You know, really preaches about just communication, and that's all we can expect from him. So, some of the things I did want to talk about though is how the Premier schedules look, because Premier has a lot of good clans in it. I don't know if any of you guys have looked down the road at the Premier League at all.
Yeah.
Anyone take that? There's a lot of amazing.
Genesis.
Yeah, there you go. So I think Genesis is going to have their work cut out for them. Again, I haven't really had an opportunity other than last season. They kind of limped in and had that unfortunate incident a ways back that I know sort of hurt them, and they've been building back from that. And so I'm sort of excited to see how their season's going to pan out. But
yeah, there's some solid clans in there. 3 Point Park, Dark Looters X.
I had the rosters. FYSB. I had the rosters in a screenshot in my background earlier, and I for some reason closed them. But
Gotcha.
But if one of you guys can pull up, because I've got a million things open right now. If one of you guys can pull up the roster actually for Premier, there's a lot of big names in there.
I know.
CW.
Hey Devin, how about you post it in chat so we can look at it?
For real.
I think it's awesome having a clan in each of the leagues, though. Besides the the lowest one that they just made or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Light just got announced, what, 2 or 3 days ago?
Yeah. Well, we invite. We have no idea who we're playing yet. I don't know if that's been fully released yet, but no, they're
Well,
working
it
on
was
it.
at one time.
Yeah, it was.
For anyone just tuning in, we should probably reiterate that Jake is coming. We actually do have a guest, or he's going to come on the second part of the show, which will probably kick off in, I don't know, 15 minutes. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, tops.
Okay, I have the list here for the Premier League. So let's see who's in. 3 Point Park, Art of War. I'll just go through some of the bigger
Art
names
of
that I
War.
know.
That was one of the clans I was thinking of.
Crystal Warrior. They are the clan that never freaking dies, man. They were like the first clan that I ever saw in like the real world. This is like way back in the day, like when they beat OneHive and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
I'm
Dark
pretty sure
Looters
that's
X,
when
Dark
Rockard
Avengers.
Golem was the leader. JP
Yep.
would know.
I was
JP
thinking
knows
of
the history
Tiger.
of every clan and class of clans. There's spies
See,
everywhere.
Dragon Rejects, FYSB. Let's see who else. Killer Bunnies, King Jeffrey.
We
Genesis,
lost
of
to King
course.
Jeffrey not too long ago. We
Terps.
We are Spartans, WHF2.
we got a lot.
I'll tell you the
of
favorite.
guys.
Someone mentioned in chat, and I'd have to agree with them. I don't know how to pronounce this, but the Suomi Cat.
The team. I remember. I just was it yesterday or today even.
Yeah, you were asking about that. They just beat Dark Looters.
Well,
So
they on percentage. Yeah. That's unbelievable.
That's gonna put them at the top of the list for favorites in that league.
So is this like a Japanese sort of pro clan that came out of nowhere? I don't know. I never had heard of them until I saw that score posted. So another thing I wanted to sort of briefly touch on, we can bring it back up and talk a little bit more in detail on it when Jake's on, but we actually have just acquired quite a few members. A couple. Did we get 1 or 2 members from Kronos, JP?
1 at the moment.
Just 1. Okay. Sorry, I thought it was 2 for some reason.
They're all the way done, right? Like they're completely done.
They are banned from this league as CWL, but I won't say they're done for sure.
Okay.
They've got a lot of long-term
I didn't know if we
members
could
there.
tell stories about some chats. I don't know if we've talked about that.
Well, to sort of talk about that, so I guess from what I gather, and I don't know 100% the details, but they basically, when Golden Goblins received their ban for having a handful of people caught modding within the clan, essentially Kronos absorbed a dozen or so of their guys right away. Do you know the details, JP?
Skyfall, I think, was the.
Skyfall.
Skyfall was it, but there's a lot of. I do feel for the Kronos guys. I have some real good friends in Kronos, and they were actually our old feeder clan in Power COCs, and I've made friends with a lot of those guys. But a lot from what they said, they did what they were asked. They vetted all the members that they got in, and sounds like they tried to do the right thing there with vetting the members. So it is unfortunate for them because I know those guys have good character.
I don't know, man. It just seems to me like we're missing some details because I don't understand. I can understand issuing a clan ban and not allowing anyone under that clan name, but in that situation, there's definitely going to be a bunch of innocent clan members that, in my opinion, you shouldn't deny going to another clan just so they can compete in the league. There's a very simple vetting process. You can see everywhere that account's ever been. Not to mention, during war, it's not like you can leave war at any given time if you have attacks to make, right? You're stuck in the clan. So it's not like you can leave the clan, go, pull a Garsk, and go somewhere else, right? And it's not like you can bring a burner into the clan. So it's pretty difficult if you've never been associated in any sort of shady clan. And the way in combination with the way the rules work, I don't understand why it would be a big deal. Like that just doesn't make sense to me.
Just by the way, guy in chat filled me in. Swami Katkat is a Finnish clan, and it actually stands for the Finnish Eagles. Just FYI.
Really?
So Finland.
Be afraid. The Finnish, they're out for
I bet
blood.
Supercell put a team together and they're just modding the hell out of it.
Man,
Like, catch
fucking
this,
camera.
Octopus.
I wonder if Clutch is Clutch in chat. I don't know why chat anywhere. So so that sucks. So basically, you don't really know fully the details, JP.
Yeah, no, and I don't know that really anyone knows the details other than maybe just tight leadership in Kronos and CWL. But like I said, they were very shocked by it, and they tried to do the right thing. They got those members approved through CWL. So it seems a little odd to me. It seems like there's something missing because
There's
from what
got
I
to
was
be,
told, it
because there's no
sounds
way
like they
they
did the
got.
right thing.
If it's not like there's no way like that statement doesn't make sense. There's no way they got approval from the CWL admins to do this, and then they did it, and then got banned by the CWL admins. That there's something wrong in that statement.
It seems odd.
So I don't know. Maybe Chad can fill us in on the details, but
Derpidoo asked a question in Discord. I'm sure that we'll ask Jake whenever he comes on. But he says, "What do you think the CWL admins need to do to ensure the continued upward trajectory of the CWL?"
It's a good question.
continue to really show this stance on modding. There's something I said, like I just said in the last video. I'm more and more impressed with how in depth and how detailed they are taking these situations. They're taking them very severely, and they're super concerned with the integrity of the league. And that one word right there is what they have to do, in my opinion. They have to preserve the integrity of the league for it to even have a hope. Because as soon as they open the gates at all, so that sort of brings me to my next point, and we're gonna sort of touch on this real quick, and then we're gonna cut to our quick break, and we're gonna get Jake in here. But after the Chronos situation, some of those Golden Goblin guys have good relationships with our co-leaders, and Hergoth and Spence reached out to a couple of our co-leaders, and essentially we absorbed a handful of them. So I wanted to say though, because a lot of people have a formed opinion because yeah, they had a handful of guys modding in the clan, and for the most part, it was closet modding. Yeah, it's a group of like 4 guys that were doing it together. And that sucks. And just like we were talking about with the Chronos situation, there are a lot of innocent people involved in this. And I mean, a lot of us are a lot of guys are good friends with Hergoth. He's a well respected member of the class community. Has an account in Spartan's Legacy, I'm pretty sure. So him and along with a few of their other guys that just would like to continue to play together ended up coming over to 2.0. So that really is going to help our roster and our chances here in Invite. Not sure what your boys' thoughts are on that.
Yeah, it's making me. They're making me kick my 9 out to make rooms. I don't know how I feel.
Well, or keep your 9. You can't have both accounts.
No, 10's way more fun. I've sipped the Kool-Aid, and 10 is where it is at.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there is some skepticism in the back of my head about it at first, but after talking and understanding the situations, and I mean, we all the players we've brought in, we've looked at everyone's clash history from the beginning to the end. If there's any sign, actually, we did bring in a guy that actually, once we looked into his history, we weren't happy with it and booted him out. That's actually we've denied 2 guys that wanted to come over, and we're taking it very seriously, right? We welcome them with open arms, but at the same time, we're covering our own asses. So,
well, to that point, Weiser, I think a lot of people don't know that we were like the last clan that I know of that finally said, okay, any people that came from X mod
Yep.
clans way back in the day. Like you can apply if you say that you're going to be play. We'll keep an eye on you.
Yeah.
Everyone else was doing it, and a lot of people got burned because they did it too soon. I don't know if you guys remember like WHF. Like they had a bunch of PWC guys that came over, and then like 7 of them got banned during the first wave. But yeah, we held on for a long time, but just the way that the game's going, it's not a growing player base. So you definitely have to be careful, and it's not that we're not watching, because I know that plenty of guys are.
But it's a shitty situation because we ended up sort of hurting ourselves by giving ourselves that reputation because of the stance we took. But when you really think about it in the bigger picture, I don't know. To me, it had nothing to do with us being, looking down our noses at people or anything like that. We didn't want to deal with the bullshit. We didn't want to deal with the drama. Like, look at the CWL right now. Look at some of these clans and what they're going through because of a handful of guys that you may have noticed but just didn't care that, and I'm not saying, but there's been a bunch of clans now with guys, multiple guys that are got caught, and it sucks because there's definitely innocent bystanders that go along with it. And
yeah, and part of it is risk reward. You look at that. So with the way the CWL is handling punishments, you potentially could have a clan shut down because of 1 to 2 people in there.
Yeah.
So, your reward is you bring in these good people and they tell you they're clean. You do all the research you can and you vet them and everything looks good. But all it takes is 2 bad apples and the other 48 members of a clan are penalized. So it's a fine line between, when is it worth it, and basically 2 people could cost the entire clan. So it's definitely, you got to be careful.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that taking that hardline stance early on, though, has built like a culture of kind of militant fair play in 2.0, which I think is great. Because when you're in a clan that's not like that, there's too many questions, right? You see one of your clan mates with a really kind of a god hit, right? And you're like, nah, it just doesn't look right. And I feel like in the 2.0 family, you don't have to have that feeling, or at least I hope that's the deal. That's how I feel. Right?
Well,
I'm still waiting for the day that I get accused of modding. Hopefully it'll come one day.
You got to play Town Hall 10 again, JP, for that. So
maybe soon. We'll see.
Yeah, you bypassed it. You're like, I don't like this Town Hall 10 stuff. I'm going to go Town Hall 11 and Town Hall 9.
Straight to 11.
JP would be accused of hitting drunk if he went back to Town Hall 10.
All right, let's wrap this up, guys. We're going to take a super short break. I made like a little 9-minute video of a few attacks from the last one for you guys to watch here, just while we get set up here with Jake. So we will be right back. I'm just going to cut to this screen. All right, back in a few minutes with Jake from OneHive Raids.
Yeah.
All right, here we are. Second half action. So, want to introduce the man, the myth, the legend. Welcome, Mr. Jake from OneHive Raids. How's it going?
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. As you can imagine, you have influenced this entire game. Probably each and every single person that we're talking to, that's in this stream, that's in our Discord, that's in our clan, has at least heard of you, and rightfully so. You've had such an influence on this game, and I just want to say first and foremost, I appreciate what you've done. I don't think we would see a lot of the things we see today if it weren't for a lot of your influence, and I just want to say thanks, man.
Well, I appreciate it. I think that you and a lot of people give me too much credit. I hope I helped in some way to make the game better, but I think a lot of people have put a lot of effort into trying to steer the game in the direction that we all enjoy. but I appreciate it.
Absolutely, and it's nice to see something like the CWL thriving, and just the same, these kind of people have the same kind of passion that you did. That, your passion inspired them to get to that point. I'll tell you straight firsthand. Your passion and your videos alone put me sort of where I am, what I do today. I mean, I don't do it even close to the extent that you sort of did, but definitely you had an influence in sort of my Clash experiences, and I know I can speak for the other guys in this call right now, and they say the same. But I did just want to kind of lead into a few things. I know JP has talked to you. I don't know if it was through Group Me maybe, but how you guys were chatting back and forth. You did agree to come on the show, and I want to say I know JP's got a lot lined up to ask it, so I'm just gonna let him sort of take it away from here.
Cool.
So yeah, I'll echo what Wiser said on a personal note. I can tell you the first video of yours I ever watched was the Hola Wee Wee video back in the day, with
Nice.
using loons to shape the base and sending the hog. So yeah, I agree with what Wiser said. If it wasn't for your videos, that I wouldn't be born, doing what I'm doing here. So, but yeah, man. So obviously you've been missed. When you announced your retirement, there's a lot of people that were worried that Clash was going to die, because like we said, you've had a huge impact. So what are you doing nowadays? I know you've tweeted out Dawn of Titans. I've seen some interest in that game. Talk a little bit about Dawn of Titans, and basically, is there anything you get out of Dawn of Titans that you didn't get from Clash, and vice versa? What are the comparisons there?
Yeah, I just sort of stumbled upon it, and it was just the graphics are what drew me in. Honestly, it's just a stunning game, and really, I don't think right now it is. It's so hard for any type of a base building game. In my opinion, it's so hard for all of them right now because Clash is such a refined product over what is it, 4.5 years or 5 years now? I don't even know, over a long time, and there's been tons of updates and tons of tweaking and tons of money gone into this. So when a game like that starts up, I feel like they're so far behind the eight ball because they're immediately compared to it, and they're immediately held to that standard. I mean, from day one, it's like this, you got to be here for us to be interested. And so for me, it's just sort of what could be type of thing. It's not there yet. It doesn't have any type of real competition. It's more or less like Clash was when it started. It's just trophy pushing. That's it. It's what they call victory points. Same concept. So it's a time sink. Who wins, and it's a money sink a little bit. But I still hope they go because it's a nice different spin. The way the controls work in game, in Clash when you release a troop, you've sort of lost control of that troop. In Dawn of Titans, it's much different. I can have this troop attacking this thing, and then hey, everybody attack over here, and change that up mid battle. So that really is what that little chain got me kind of, I guess, sucked into it and hooked on it.
Oh, that's cool. I looked into it. Maybe something I end up going down that road. So, you kind of hinted about. We talked a little bit about Clash, some of the differences. Though, if you were to say, what are the couple things you miss the most about Clash, and a couple things that you don't miss from when you were in it the most?
One thing, let me interject real quick. You actually too, Jake, got me hooked on. Do you remember Rival Kingdoms?
Yeah.
You don't still play that, do you?
Now I quit it a long time ago. It was when I was doing Rival Kingdoms. It was a good game. I think it was a good game. But I was so into Clash. It produced so much content then that it was really like I just couldn't handle two base building games at the same time.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything really that I was like, oh, this game sucks. It was just like, man,
you know
okay,
what my biggest
I got to focus where I need to focus.
My biggest problem with it was I don't know if you did any of the wars with your kingdom, but
Yeah.
it's sort of turned into, like, a lot of times it would just turn into kind of like just dropping all your troops and holding fast forward.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the one gripe I had about that game, I mean, at least at the point I was at, you had like what, maybe 6, 7, maybe 8 troops, and literally when you did an attack, it was like that was it. It was like dropping 6 golems, and then, like you said, hold down fast forward, and the attack still plays out. And I don't know why game developers, and that's one thing about Dawn of Titans that I really like, we gotta be tapping our iPads. You know what I mean? That's what Clash got early on, is that when you have an army, you might deploy and tap the iPad 40 times. With a game like that, you're tapping it 6. I mean, you don't feel like you're playing it as much. Again, with Dawn of Titans, you
Absolutely.
can sort of redirect mid attack, so you don't have to have as many troops. But that's one thing that I agree with you. That was sort of lacking in Rival Kingdoms, is that it was too simplistic in the actual battle mode. But it
Yeah.
was a great game. It was fun.
I did like a lot of aspects to it, but what sucks you in, just like this is why Clash of Clans has sucked every single one of us in, is the war, is the competitive nature, and that is the most important thing at the end of the day. And it just Rival Kingdoms did not have that. Whatever I will take from the Rival Kingdoms is I think they were onto something with that fast forward button. Just a thought.
Yeah. Oh, I would love to have it occasionally in Clash. I mean, it's almost over, or all your troops, you're just waiting for them to clean up, fast forward. I mean, it was great. It was like, okay,
Yeah,
let's get through this crap.
yeah. Anyway, sorry, keep going, JP.
No, so yeah, basically, I know after playing a game for so many years at such a high level and then stepping away, I know there's some things you missed, and then I'm sure
Yeah.
with all the time you invested, there's some things that you really have enjoyed not having to deal with. So talk about a couple of those.
Yeah, well, and I think it's a pretty common answer. Most of what I missed was just the people, the interaction, the streams, my fans that really enjoyed getting to sort of experience the wars that we got to do all the time. Those high level wars, before CWL, OneHive was in the spotlight a lot of times on, just off name recognition alone. You get two clans that have a lot of name recognition, and you have someone with a lot of followers streaming it. That was our CWL back then. So I think a lot of the guys felt like they were a part of it, being through the videos and through the streams and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed bringing that to them and letting them experience it, because not everyone can. So I would say just the people and those type of things. What I didn't miss was the time sink, man. You guys know, when you're playing at a high level, man, it's just like all the time. You just got to be locked in, and you're constantly, when we warred back to back to back to back, and there was just never. It was relentless. I guess it's the word.
Never,
it just
never
grinded
mind being
you
in
out, man.
leadership and leadership chats and doing
Yeah.
YouTube
And
content.
content creating.
Like there's so, especially now, like you probably didn't really feel the burn on this one, but um, the friendly challenge replays. You only get 24 hours to before the lifetime runs up on them. So most of our
Mhm.
CWL wars end on Saturday night, and I work every Friday and Saturday night. So I get home about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I have to be back at noon for the next day. So if I don't do that recap at 1 a.m., I lose the content because it's only
Mhm.
24 hours. So there's so
Yeah.
many days now where it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, oh, yeah, time to do some content.
Yeah. That sucks, and I know what you mean. 'Cause like when I first came, I watched the finals, CWL finals, and I was in the clan, and I was going to do that video just talking about it with Ash, and I was just going to record some attacks. Well, I didn't even know that it was a 24-hour deal, but I just got on that next day and was like, hey, I couldn't find the replays. I was such a noob. I was like, what the hell? There's no replays for a friendly
Yeah,
challenge or
yeah,
friendly wars. And they're like, dude, I was like, okay, I found it. They're like, yeah, but you better hurry. It's 24 hours. So yeah, I know what you mean. You got to get on it. And like you said, when you're a content creator, people want to see that. And so it was a commitment. You're like, you feel like you got to do it, and that's not always the most fun feeling. So I would say that's what I don't miss. But what I do miss was just the people and the just the events, man, the hype of a big war.
It kind of leads into the next question we're going to talk about. So when you started your channel, so however many years back, what did you have in mind for the channel? I remember you talking about this, I believe, in one of your Coffee and Clash videos. But what did you have in mind for the channel? Do you have some moments along the way where, whether it's 50,000 subscribers, were there certain moments where you just had to sit back and say, wow, this is blowing my mind here? And what were your personal favorite videos to make?
Yeah, there was, at the start, and I've talked about this before, at the start, it was never, I mean, I never thought anyone under any circumstances that was not in OneHive or one of our clans would ever be interested in watching one of the videos. I mean, it just never occurred to me because there was a guy that used to make them and he quit doing it. Everybody just loved it. You know, something about seeing yourself on a YouTube video. It was like, you know, it was cool seeing one of your attacks and someone else talking about it. So I was like, I can do this. You know, I was up for a few hours a night, so just sort of started doing it. And then as it started growing, and when I got more subscribers than were actually in OneHive, I was like, that's weird, you know. And then I guess the one that sticks in my mind is when I hit, well, there's two. I live in a real small town, about just under 3,000 people. So I always thought, man, what if I have more subscribers than actually people that live where I do? And so when that happened, and then for some reason 10,000, I don't know why, it just sort of, I was like, this is crazy. You know, this is nuts. And it just kept going from there. But it was weird all along. It was just this constant surprise. It was like, that's crazy, that's crazy, that's crazy, just on and on.
So do you have a certain video that sticks out to you as you would call your favorite, whether it's the strategy, the Coffee and Clash? What sticks out to you as your personal favorite?
Well, what I loved to do was the strategy ones, but I always felt like people wanted more of them. But to me, it was like, look, I can't just put a strategy video out. There's only so many strategies that are really effective. I'm not going to put something out just because someone does it occasionally. If it doesn't work on a lot of different styles basis. So I always felt like that was a give and take, that I like doing it because I know how much people got out of it and how much it helped them. But it was a limited deal, and I didn't want to abuse it. You know, when I put out a how-to, it got way more views than anything else I did. But I felt like I didn't want to abuse that. So those are my favorites, but they were sort of limited. I really enjoyed the Coffee and Clash because it was that interaction. I hated doing the Ninja Live. I loved it at first, but then it got to where I would sit there for like 40 minutes waiting for someone to attack, just sit there at my screen, falling asleep, you know, nothing happening. And so those just really got on my nerves towards the end. But I guess Coffee and Clash probably my favorite.
That's what I miss the most.
Yeah, Coffee and Clash was enjoyable. I love that.
Because
It was a good way to answer it because you get the same questions over and over and over and over. It's a good way to sort of get, you know, the ones that you get a lot.
Yeah.
Let everyone get an answer.
Because you got so many people asking you questions in your comments every single day and all this. And this was like your chance to just kind of sit back and not even really have to worry about talking about an attack. You're just kind of answering questions.
Exactly.
I don't know. You answered one of my. I remember the weirdest thing. Is just hang on, JP. The weirdest thing ever was you answered one of my questions when I first started taking over content for Labs.
Yeah.
I talked to you about this in Chicago actually, and I didn't realize that's very same episode. This was before I even knew Patino. Patino had a question as well, and you answered both of our questions in the same Coffee and Clash episode, which is just
I remember yours being answered, but I remember when mine was, and I thought I was like gonna get a chubby right there. I was like, ah!
Oh, it's good. That's good.
So just a second. So Brandon on YouTube had asked if you were going to, and you kind of answered this actually in a video that you recently put up, but are you going to continue making strategy videos? Are you going to continue Coffee and Clash?
Man, that's tough. I don't know, honestly. And the only thing I'm sure about right now is that I want to bring CWO content. I don't know what form it'll be in. I want to be real careful. I'm not saying I won't do strategy videos or I won't do a Coffee and Clash, but I really don't want to get back into the rut that I was in. I felt like I was in a rut. Of just going back to the same old series, the same old things, and doing it. I want to try to be different. I want to try to find a way to present war and things like that. That's in an enjoyable format that maybe hasn't been done as much or as commonly as what I was doing before.
Gotcha. Speaking of rut, Go Wipe Rut. That was my favorite. That's a video that changed the way that I played Clash.
That was a classic, man. That was a classic. And controversial. I don't even know how to use that thing yet. But I used to tell people that, when are you going to do a Go White video? I was like, I did the best Go White video that was ever made. Here it is. Go look at it. It was, I can't remember the name of the clan that we were against, but you could tell, like, they were a clan that, not like OneHive or some people were that were, already past all that sort of thing, but you could tell, like, they wanted to be good at war and they wanted to win wars. And when the war started up, it was just like, go out. I just felt like, man, I got to talk to these people specifically, but also try to get it out there because they just didn't know. I mean, they really didn't know back then. Crazy. It's a whole other world. It's a whole other time. It was just so different back then.
Yeah.
So different. So different.
Yeah.
The one that changed
So,
me
more
was a Go Ballo video, actually. But sorry, go ahead, JP.
No, just a couple more questions before we go into CWL topic. So, would you say that there's one war or one of your personal attacks that stands out to you the most? Do you have a most memorable war and then an actual attack by you that stands out in your mind the most?
OneHive Invicta, right? You remember that one?
Yeah, too. I remember a lot of work. They do kind of blend together. There's really not what I would say is one war anymore. That probably 6 months ago, had you asked me, that there probably was. But when you separate yourself from it, it doesn't. It doesn't stick out as one war. I know we had a lot of great wars, but just the events are what I remember. Weirdly enough, the live events, meeting you guys, meeting everybody. Those are the things that stick out so much more than the wars and stuff do. An attack, I would say there is one, but it's going to be really hard for me to explain to you. It was just a war that we had against a modding day, and they had these, their bases were always solid because they're modded bases, they're tested, and things like that back before you could do that. And there was this double jump, two-phase, attack that I did, and these guys lost their mind because I had made it through a quick modding war that no one had three-starred. It was Town Hall 9 back in the day, and I mean, it was probably one of my finer attacks, and I did it. I'm pretty sure I did it on a live attack video. It was pretty epic, and so that was probably my favorite because they were freaking out. Like I was getting some people messaging me from screenshots of backroom chats about about me three-starring, and they were a little bit pissed off. So that was kind of a good one.
That's cool. So yeah, last question, and then I'll turn it over to Wiser for some CWL talk. But so, have you been recognized in public from your videos, and also do your coworkers and friends know about your secret life of Clash content creating and how well you're known in the Clash world?
I've never been recognized ever. I'm self-employed. I don't have coworkers. I work in the same office as my dad, who's an attorney. But my friends know. I've got some good friends that used to live here. They moved off, but they used to jump on the streams every once in a while. And he was sort of around when it started. So it was kind of like the same sort of deal. Like, oh, I've got 500 subs. Oh, I've got 1,000 subs. So I've got 10,000 subs. So he kind of followed along and was always surprised. They were my closest friends. But no, it's really never. My family would ask me about it, and friends, but like that's it. Like walking down the street, I've never at an airport, never ran into somebody outside of a live event, obviously, that knew me or heard my voice or anything like that. No.
I remember when I went to Chicago Live, I was standing in line for a beer, or I was up actually. I ordered my beer, and a couple guys behind me were like, "Oh, I recognize that voice." And I turned around. Obviously, it's at Chicago Live, so I mean, every single person recognizes Jake at Chicago Live. But I walked up and I'm getting a beer, and I was like, "Oh, that felt pretty good," And then actually, I'm really upset.
That.
Sorry, keep going, Jake.
No, I was just saying I remember that. I do.
Oh yeah. And then actually, there was one point where we got a picture taken. It was me, you, and Ash standing up there. We had been talking for a little while, and some guy came up and wanted to take a picture. And for some reason, I zoned out, and the guy took the picture and just walked away. And I'm like, man, I wanted that picture, and I could never get it back. I think I sent you a Twitter
you never
message or
tracked him
something.
down or anything?
No, I never tracked it down. I couldn't find it. It's too bad. Too
That
bad.
sucks.
Um, So there's a few things I wanted to mention. I mean, we touched on everything, and obviously, guys, Jake gives a lot of his thoughts on where he stands with the CWL right now, and how and his thoughts on it. You just did that video, with Ash and whatnot. So that explains a lot. I don't want to beat a dead horse here. Um, so I don't want to get too in depth on a lot of stuff. But there were some other things, just from my OneHive past, um, that I just wanted to mention. So obviously first when I first took over labs, um, you were the icon to me. I remember I tried to reach out to you on our TeamSpeak server once, back before the split. I'm sure you remember those days,
Yeah,
and we never really got to connect. So I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed, but I went forward with labs, and I thought I did a pretty good job of it. And then I sort of watched you and how things sort of panned out between the two clans. Um, One thing I still get questions to this day is about the 1.0 and 2.0 split. Um, what was your side of the story on that? Because for myself at that time, I wasn't even a co-leader. I was this new guy from Invicta who was volunteering to do the labs content that sort of got brought. I was the Dr. D of today. He puts his hand up, like and I had like a Town Hall 7 account in 2.0 that I just parked there to do their recaps for them, kind of thing.
yeah.
And because I was the messenger, I ended up getting invited to do this video with Chief Kev and Nemo, and
Mhm.
and talk about what they talked about. What was your side of the story on that? I'm sure everyone would be interested to hear.
There was a lot that went into that, and I think it went back a long ways. It was almost like, and it was both sides. It was almost like every time something happened, where one, regardless of who was right or wrong, there was just like a brother, two brothers, you have a fight, and it was almost like me and my brothers when we were growing up, we had a fight, we had a fist fight, and then the next day we was friends again. It was over, but we never got to have the fist fight, and so it just kind of always, I think both sides kind of held on to each individual incident that we disagreed on for a year and a half or 2 years or whatever. And then I really think that when Chief Kev got into basically running the clan, maybe I'm biased. He was toxic. He was really a cause of a lot
I
of
I
problems.
know a ton of people that would agree with that statement.
Yeah, it was
So
it was just like gasoline on a fire, and he was just like nails on a chalkboard. And it just got to the point again. You always had those little. No one forgot. It was kind of like everybody on both sides remembered. Oh, you did this and you did this, and it just kind of escalated. And then eventually it was like, okay, what are we doing here? Why we're fighting? We're supposed to be family, and we're fighting. It's just better to go separate ways. I how it is. It probably dumb on both sides, just again letting little things turn into big things. Uh,
I think it
I
was
don't
for
know.
the
It's been a
best.
long
I think it was for the best
time too.
because
I do
I
too. I think it's
feel
hard.
I feel our relationships now with 1.0 are better than were they when we were
Yeah.
technically sister clans. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's hard when you have two. And look, and I said it back then. One high. There was probably a period of time during that time when 2.0 was probably a little stronger than one high was. And so when you've got two clans that are trying to be at the top of the game, and then also trying to be this super tight thing, it's just like two alpha males.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some of that, and that's what it was. I mean, that's as simple as you can boil it down to.
Yeah, pretty much. And obviously, I mean, Kev pretty much right after that incident, Kev left the clan. What I found out after the
Mhm.
fact, because so prior to this, I get approached by Chief Kev, the leader of 2.0, where I don't know a lot of what you just said, right? I mean, like I said, I just sort of was this messenger. So I did the video and I tried to sort of interview them as best I could, just for content wise. Didn't really know what it was gonna blow up into,
Right.
and so after the video went live, I got approached by Hoodrat and some of the other co-leaders, and I found out the biggest issue was that he didn't even talk to the other co-leaders of 2.0
Yeah.
about that he was going to do this. And like as a co-leader now and for a long time, we make every decision as a team. Like it's never one person. Mouthpiece has since then has been the leader, but has never made a decision completely on his own. I mean, we run as a family. It's a democracy, right? I mean, every single leader in the family, whether you're an Invictico leader
Yeah.
or a 2.0 leader, you get a say, you get a vote. And that was the biggest problem, at least on the 2.0 side. Sort of why some of the other co-leaders stepped in and were like, hey, like, seriously, we didn't agree to this. So let's take this video down.
Yeah.
Let's mend our relationships and move forward. But yeah, good to get.
Right. Well, and that, we knew that he was the problem, but it was almost like when we tried to reach out to the other co-leaders, it was almost like they had to sort of back. They didn't want to. I don't know. It was weird. Like they didn't always agree with him, but they would always sort of stand on that side. Like, no,
We got to back our
we're not
leader.
all wrong. I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of stick together. Which who could blame them? But
Yep.
everyone knew what the problem.
Yeah, it became very apparent.
Yeah, it was.
And a lot of even people that weren't necessarily co-leaders, even that just were members at the time, would completely reiterate all those facts. But like I said, since then, I think we built pretty good relationships with 1.0, and to be honest, although we don't share any of the resources, but like you said, that's kind of a necessity when you're trying to be one of the top clans, right? You need to be using all the resources you have for your clan that's trying to be at the top. And so
Well, and that's when I think OneHive got a lot of the attention because of the success of the channel, and
Yep.
2.0 didn't get as much, and they deserved a lot of attention because they, as I said, they had some, and still do, obviously, but I mean, speaking in that specific time frame, had some just monster attackers and base builders, and I felt like they probably always had that kind of like, well, what about us type thing, and they weren't getting it, and they deserved it. So yeah, I mean, it was best for both clans, and I've never held any ill will towards 2.0 the guys. Once Kev was gone, it was like, okay, we're cool,
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on past this. One of the things, I feel sort of led to you leaving initially was the state of the game in concerns of cheating and modding, and we sort of touched on it a little bit. But that's my biggest fear right now, is even though Supercell has stepped forward and at least assisted a little bit, it's definitely still not enough. And what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I know that's a big piece of why you kind of lost a lot of faith in the game to begin with.
Kind of cut out on me there. I know your question was sort of my thoughts on the modding situation. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, pretty much. I was just saying, that's just a lot of the reason I can tell of why you lost a lot of faith with Supercell and the game to begin with.
Yeah. What they've done, again, I'm just getting back into it, so I don't know the details about where the actual modding's at. I know it's greatly reduced. My understanding is it's as low as it's ever been, which is great. And it's, in my opinion, it's what we talked about, my God, in like summer of 15, it's the same thing as always. It was, all you have to do is show that you're willing to take someone's account away permanently. And they never were willing to do it for years. They just never were willing to do it. And now all of a sudden they are, apparently, and it's greatly reduced it. You're never going to have a game. I don't care what the game is. You're never going to have a cheat-free game. It's impossible. But at least if the company will do their part, and obviously the CWL, I think, is doing their absolute level best, which is great. you're going to have a pretty fun, pretty fair environment for everybody. I mean, again, it's never going to be perfect. That's impossible. Just the world we live in. But yeah, I mean, like you said, that was one thing that greatly pushed me out of the game.
Yeah, like you said though, I completely agree. The CWL is doing everything they can. I just hope it's enough. Because a lot of
Yeah.
the problem is just the way the community trusts each other, right? Just having that, even though that there's some measures being taken, there's still 100% um, distrust in other clans and even your own teammates potentially, because you just don't know. Um, there's a few good things though. Um, I don't know if the burner account thing existed when you were still with the game or not. Like, do you know what I mean
Yeah.
when I say burner
Yeah. I do.
account? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can't do that obviously because in the middle, like the CW has a rule implemented, which is good. You cannot, if you have attacks, if battle day has begun in your CWL match, until both your attacks are complete, you cannot leave the clan, and at the same time, your clan cannot accept new members into the clan. So it's not like you can bring a burner account in, or you can
Yeah.
leave
It's a
real
great
quick.
rule.
You can leave real quick in the middle of a war to a different clan with a burner account. So on top of that, I don't know if you know of Clash of Stats, where you can pretty much bring up a history of an account, so you can see every single clan that account's ever been in. If they were in, if
Oh
they
wow,
were,
no,
if they were in Clash Heads
didn't know that.
8 months ago, you're gonna know. So that actually is a super useful
Nice.
tool. So that's one thing. 2.0 just got faced with the sort of decision. The Golden Goblins had 4 members banned and had their clan banned from the league just for this season. One of the things we were talking about in the first half of the show is there's a lot of innocent bystanders in these situations. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, it's a very tricky situation. You got to be very careful as a clan. You could be risking it all by taking a member from one of these clans, but really, how do you know and how do you tell?
It is. It is a different situation, and we've put ourselves in it. It's like you talked about with the distrust. The reason there's so much distrust is because we as a community and Supercell let it get so ridiculous too far. So when you do that, then there's almost always it's like it's like cheating on your spouse in a marriage. How do you ever get it back? So we've all cheated on each other, and now we all want to play nice and trust each other. It's almost impossible to have that complete trust. And when you talk about how do you deal with it when you have, let's say, 4 members or whatever it might be, and you've got potential. Uh, I don't know the CWL's rule. If those, I know the clan is banned, but is each individual member banned from future CWL seasons, or is it just not under that banner?
It's just anyone on. It's just that banner, and then they'll ban specific players. So then you end
Yeah,
up
so
with
it's
another
different.
25 players that have nowhere to go for the season. So how do you?
Well, here's the deal. Here's the deal, and I think life has, you have choices and you have consequences. So when you join a clan, you're agreeing to follow a leader or of leaders, as in like a OneHive or a 2.0 situation where, like you said, it's led by council. So you're saying, I know these guys, I know the reputation, and I've talked to them or I've done my homework enough to say I'm going to follow them and they're going to lead me. And if they're not doing their due diligence, as you said, these tools that you can sort of see where people came from, at this point, everyone's got a history, and it's if you can find it, you can pretty much, find the smoke and see if there's fire there. Obviously, there's times that you could get fooled, and it could be worst case scenario to where leadership didn't know about it, and no one knew about it. It was just some rogue guys. They got caught. But in all honesty, that is probably not the scenario that's going to happen 90% of the time. 90% of the time, a lot of people know about it. Now, whether they're partaking in it or not, we all know how to do group chats and everything. Word gets around. If you got 4 or 5 people in a clan cheating, I'll bet you another 4 or 5 at least know about it, and probably some leadership knows
I
about it. Just my opinion.
I
I'm not
always
saying
say it.
it's going to be 100%
It's
every
like
time,
it's
but my grandpa used to say, "If you play in shit, you get shit on." So if you play in shit, you're going to get some shit on.
and I was gonna say, you're a parent, Jake, right? Do you have a kid, right? Um,
Yeah,
the
two
first
girls.
time you catch your kid doing something bad probably isn't the first time they did something bad. You know what I mean? The first time my dad caught me smoking a cigarette or something, right? Probably wasn't the only time I ever smoked a cigarette, but I sure as shit probably tried to sell him on the fact that it was the first time. You know what I mean? It's just a general rule of nature. It, it's going to happen more predominantly, so you do have to be very careful. So, um,
Hey, Wiser.
yeah,
There seems to be an audio issue, and I think it might be on your end. Are you catching this?
I don't know if it's on my end. I'm hearing it as well. So.
Can we crash and reconvene less than 5 minutes?
Well, we can probably just wrap it up. I mean, I don't have a ton more to add. I mean, we've kept Jake for quite a while now. Unless you guys
That works.
add anything to add. I mean, we touched on everything what I kind of wanted to mention.
Nah, real quick.
I did have something from chat.
Go ahead, JP.
One of the questions, and I'm curious about this too. So first of all, shout out to Miss Jake. I got to meet her in Chicago. What an awesome person, man! Amazing, friendly, really cool woman. So, what's her thoughts? Has she said anything about you slowly getting back into the game, or did she appreciate you taking the time off when you did?
Yeah, I think it was sad for her because she was sort of just getting into the game and really getting to know people in the game, and she really enjoyed that side of it. So I was sort of checking out as she was checking in, so there was a little overlap there, and she was a little sad, I think, when it all came to an end. And she's just sort of been like when I first, she told me actually, that we were in the CWL finals and things like that because she still, I guess, every once in a while group me and stuff like that, and. So when I watched it that day, I mean, I guess she thought it was kind of strange. And then I told her I was going to do a video with Ash, and she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So she seen me on for me a little bit. She's just kind of like, "Are you like, is this real? Are you really going to start playing again?" I'm like, "I don't know. I've talked to her about it, and my concerns and my thought process. So I think she's sort of waiting to see how it goes and how deep I get into it again. But yeah, she's definitely aware. I see her eyeballing me.
I'm just going to throw this out there. You'll have to check out the Invicta and 2.0 recaps if they make it in there, because this was Shattered Surgical Hogs Day in honor of Jake making it coming on the podcast. So.
Nice. Check it out. My favorite.
I swear it was Patino because Patino just cut out, and now I think it's...
No, I turned it off on purpose. I was trying to see if I can improve the quality. Now, I do have one thing to say real fast. So when I was watching the stream the other day from the CWL final, I mentioned this YouTuber named Fancy, and the reaction I got from Jake's wife was on the stream so funny. It was like the same thing. Marissa, come here. Come here. My wife, every time I mention nothing fancy, she freaks out, and she thought it was the funniest thing. She thought it was the funniest thing that another spouse had to go through that. So that's all I need.
Yeah. Whenever they someone hears
They all do.
fancy, she's like, "Turn it off." She's like, "Turn it off."
There's always
Yeah, I know,
spouses
right?
behind the clasher.
Yeah.
She's like, "You're on YouTube way too much." I'm like, "Yeah, I gotta watch Wiser." Jake.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up. We've been going on for quite a while. Jake, such a pleasure to have you, my man. Thank you for coming out.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. And again, thanks for all the kind words. And I'll be sure and tell Mrs. Jake you guys said hey.
We are absolutely
Yeah.
looking forward to your return. Obviously, Mr. at OneHive Raids or at OneHive Raids. Anyone watching the stream knows I don't need to plug you. If anything, you need to plug me. So, but it's been a pleasure. Thanks everyone for coming out. This will pretty much do it for episode 3 of 2B's OneHive. Till next time.